Guangming district here within Shenzhen. And again, all of these arrival vectors near or within Shenzhen and Guangming district.
And so looking at indexing, we use the Guangming province as our focal point of mapping from this point on, and as far as that area is bringing in influence from within China, so migration into Guangming. And this is sloping of buildings, so the black areas are urban villages, and taking those and going out a quarter-mile distance, analyzing slopes that are within 15% grade or below, are analyzed in the color gradient. And so with this, we can analyze the urban villages outside of this quarter mile that would likely not be able to walk to from the urban village home. So that's kind of what this is. And then the next one is analyzing the program areas. So from schools, medical clinics, cultural squares, ancestral halls, formal shops, and market buildings are all plotted as these dots or nodes, and going out again a quarter of a mile from those points and seeing the hidden lines as villages or industries that are not in those zones being in it.
And another part of the indexing, so so another part of indexing, what's really important to us is the intrusion of water, rain, things like that, because it's a really big part of China. They're struggling with water usage, so we'd like to take advantage of their existing water that we have already. So I'll get to that in 1 second, but this one shows the soil types in our Guangming district. So you see yellow is a sandstone, which is I don't think it's very great to build on. It's not very, can't bear too much weight. Which is, we can maybe draw a conclusion why there's not too much up here right now, as of right now. You can see that red is the granite, which is also, it's a really, really good building material, which is maybe why there's a lot more development right there. And the gray is metamorphic rock, and it's great to build on also. So if you look at, if you look at this gradient shows us the red is 15 or over, or just about 15 and over, and the green is 0 to maybe 7.5, around 5. So these are great areas to build on, the green areas. And these are all the major roads in Guangming district, as you can see. And some of them are built within the canyon, so that's good for that. All right, go ahead. And then looking at the same map, I overlaid the rain areas, and I forgot to draw the wind vector, but the wind goes down to the southwest, and this, because the rain goes in the southwest, if you think of an example like Swim or something, the rain gets caught behind the mountains because the rain is going this way, and there's these rain clouds that form that create a lot of rainless areas, more potential for landslide in that area. So we would typically not want to build in these areas because of landslide or possibilities like that. So go on to the next one.
And here it shows these are the streams in Guangming district, and here are the blocks showing it. You can see how what's the distance between the blocks and the river, and how its general look is. And these are the slope of between below 5 degrees. And the red one are the slopes upper 5 degrees to 15 degrees. And you can see here are more flat compared to those areas. That's two.
A little more relationships.
So here are the water easier to condense together.
Go back. One more thing I want to say. Doris, what she wanted to explain too, was that the areas in blue do have a lower slope, and those areas within a quarter mile of the stream, those areas are not as good to build because of the easier for flooding and stuff like that. Flooding, and then the red is steeper slope, but steeper slope, so it'd be more expensive for construction. So you kind of want to like weigh it. You want to have building get flooded, or if you want to like have a more expensive building on a higher slope. So maybe in between would be the ideal for construction here. Alright, next one. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. So another really important thing to note is where the reservoirs are in this Guangming district. These are the big ones, and I've not been able to find out if they're all wet. Some of them might be dry because China is taking from the water so much. They're having a big problem with the water, and so when we show the reservoirs, we can go to the next one. We see this is the flood area for the Guangming district. And what Doris found out is, I didn't actually know this, but reservoirs, they not just besides holding water, but they actually help with flooding, which I just never realized, I guess. They help with flooding. So as you can see, the flood zone here, a possibility of why this area over here and these areas and this area is why the flooding stops is because the runoff goes directly into the reservoirs, which is pretty significant. So we could possibly maybe place our mesh or prototype in an area over here to help with like placing a reservoir kind of area to help with the flooding over here in this area, since we couldn't find any reservoirs over there. So that's a really good thing to note. In this one, so again, the flooding zone. This shows the buildings that are mostly inside the flooding area. And as you can see, this gray, the light and dark gray are the industry buildings. And in the black is the urban villages. And you can see most of the buildings that are industry are most of the ones that are in the flooding zone. So that's pretty significant. And we also think this could be because industry dumps all of their waste into the streams to go out to the ocean because it's cheaper and easier for them to do. So that could be a possibility of why the urban villages are mostly outside the flood zone, because the industry is taking they're putting their places so they can dump into the stream. Go to the next one. And this one shows the buildings outside the flood zone. So here's the flood zone here again. And buildings outside are again mostly the urban villages, which is pretty significant. And this is, like I said before, this could be possible areas for development. Maybe we'd want to put our prototype in a flood zone so we can help store the water for other future uses in China, or maybe we want to go away from the flood zone so that we don't have a flooded building if we want to decide to go some other way.
As Kyle said before, because all the industries located besides the river kind of put the dump into the river directly. So here the red points are the industry, and the yellow part are kind of away from the industry. So it's polluted. It shows the general thought of how industry could influence the pollution situation in this area. And scientists also find a lot of chemical pollution in this river, which belongs to the industry. So this river now is very seriously being polluted, and obviously is influenced by the industry besides it.
One more second, let me say one more thing. These two dots right here are the trash collecting facilities. So these would be where they take the trash to, and then they take this trash from this area and take it to a landfill, which, if you guys remember from the first presentation, was way down there, the big one that was in Shenzhen. And this metabol definition here could correlate to smell, or like smell within a quarter-mile radius, or ground pollution. So as you can see, the green is the urban villages that outside the pollution zones, pollution smelling areas of the industries. You probably want to stay away from that, or we would want to go in a direction to help with this problem.
And then I again outline this area of the blocks and the area of the circles. And then I found out like some of the block area are left behind, and I highlight those areas. So the indexing conclusion I can draw from this study is there are some block areas that have less accessibility to public transportation. So the next indexing study is considering the relationship between roads and blocks. So I use mining data from blocks in gray colors and major and minor roads in green. So then I draw those shortest distance from the center of blocks to adjacent road. The color shows the right color. They are in a very long distance from the blocks under Chile Road, and green are very close to the road. So I show this adjacency to the roads from those blocks based on the gradings. And the conclusion I can draw from this study is some areas are insulated based on the existing road network.
So to carry on with Ting's indexing, I took a different approach and first wanted to locate the urban villages as well as private and village-owned industry within a proximity to the major arteries throughout the Guangming province. And what you can see here, these are actually the main two arteries. And what this is showing are buildings that are within a quarter mile of this artery. Go ahead to the next one. And then this is extended out from the artery to a half mile. And go ahead again. And this is all the way out to 3/4 of a mile. And what this mapping, I call it, allowed me to do was to realize potential open spaces within this urban fabric. So you can click next. Again, so this is within a quarter mile of the artery. These are all open spaces. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is within a half mile. Next one. And this is 3/4 of a mile and out. And this is pretty heavily forested area. That's why you don't see, there's a lot of open space. But from drawing from this, what I went ahead and did, go ahead to the next slide, was I began to look at the flow between these, the urban grid, you could say. And that's what this cyan lines are showing. And I overlaid what Ting's indexing proposed, these areas that didn't allow for public transportation. And what you can draw from this is within, I called out these two green colors here, 1/4 and 1/2, within half a mile from the two main arteries, where places are that have not a lot of public transportation, and also are overlaid with potential open spaces for development where our mesh may be deployed. Go ahead.
So, in addition to the density of the building blocks themselves, we feel that the population density is very important to sort of catalog and understand how the value of that as it exists. So, right now this is showing area of the blocks. And continuing development, we're going to find out the actual floor area, total floor area within the district, use that with existing population data, and find out what the density is of people per area existing in Guangdong district. And once we have that, then through research and some subjective value, we'll identify an optimal density that we would like to strive for. And we feel that this may be a good direction as sort of an overarching thesis taken with all of the other indexing work that's been done, and a good direction for us to pursue going into the next phase. So we don't have it here, but another thing we wanted to do was mapping and indexing the relationships between air vectors, air currents, and other environmental factors with the heat islands, the heat that's produced as a result of basically the color and the composition of rooftops within the city. And with the reservoirs, all that taken together, we can see opportunities for sort of taking advantage of or exploiting the existing evaporative cooling that may take place from wind currents and reservoirs, and see what we can